everybody. Good morning. Very sad. This is the last group. I'm very, very sad. It's been a very fast morning. A lot of great questions. So a little background. My name is Phil Netto. I'm the Deputy City Administrator for the city. I have worked for the city since 1999 and kind of took on the role of being the designated person that would work with that began with our social service agency, the agency that provides general assistance for the city, because they were kind of the first office that some of these families would interact with. And we needed to start working with a whole group of other state agencies and nonprofits in our community as we began the process of working with these families that were relocating to Lewiston. As a result, I became kind of the public face for the city, and inquiries were being made. A lot of those questions are being directed to me by private individuals, people that lived in the community, and also members of the media who were interested about what was going on. So back in the summer of 2001, after a few families had moved, we started getting a lot of inquiries from the media about the new families that were moving to Lewiston. Why were they moving to Lewiston? Who authorized this? Who authorized this? I always love that question. Who authorized this? What government agency has permitted these people to move into our community? So let me see. How many of you have lived in Poland all your life? How many have not? Okay, you. Where did you come from?
Vancouver.
Okay, and when you got here, did you have to tell somebody that you moved here? Did you have to report and say, I just decided we were going to move here and we wanted permission that we could come to Poland? No, you didn't need to. Well, no one else needs to do it either. So it was kind of odd that people would ask the question, who authorized these people to move there? And that happened a lot because a lot of people didn't understand the refugee resettlement program, and they didn't understand, just how it works. Once they're resettled in this country, don't they have to stay where they're resettled? No, they don't. They can up and leave. They can leave anytime they like. There are challenges associated with that. Maybe we can talk about that. So we talked about to the media about it. I've spoken nationally about this. I've been interviewed by probably every major news outlet in the country, and internationally. And the last time I spoke on this issue to the media was with Al Jazeera News. Al Jazeera News is the outlet that provides a lot of news to the Muslim world, around the world. They have a branch here in the United States now that they've opened. It's not available here on any of your cable stations, but it is out there. And they did a story, a follow-up piece on what's going on in Lewiston with the Somali population. I've not seen the piece, so I have no idea what they said. But I'm generally speaking, because things are working pretty well right now, I would imagine that the piece is going to be a positive piece, as the last piece was done when they came to see us in 2006. However, it was a little interesting because they scheduled their 2006 appointment. Here it is, Al Jazeera. They're coming from Lewiston, Maine. Oh my God, it's a Muslim news agency. What are they going to do? What are they going to say? Hopefully they'll say some good stuff. But so the arrangement was very nice. They came in, and the day that they arrived, around that time, right around the time when they actually physically came to Lewiston, there was an event that happened in Lewiston. Any of you know about the Pig's Head incident? You all know about the Pig's Head incident? That was the week they chose to come to Lewiston. Great. They're going to write this great piece. Oh no, we've got somebody rolling out frozen pig's head into a mosque. My God, what are they going to say? It was actually a very, very fair piece. And I thought extremely well done and extremely, I thought it was a very fair piece. It was a very objective piece. And I thought he did a great job. So that's effectively what I do. And we can talk about the very first families that started moving into the city, starting in February of 2001. And we can talk about welfare, we can talk about employment, we can talk about all those things, but we're going to talk first, or we'll respond first to some of the questions that you have here. So, over to you, yes?
What was the community's initial response to Somali migration to Lewiston?
What was
What was the community's initial response?
Who authorized this? If we want to take a snapshot of the response, the initial response, who authorized it? Where are they coming from? Why are they coming here? Who's bringing them here? Just keep in mind, this isn't like This isn't a group of immigrants from some part of the world that really just don't look much different. Whatever your idea of different is, you know, if your idea of different is, you know, this group over here is pretty much not different, okay, that's fine. Well, they started showing up with really different looking clothing. Of course, they were people of color, and they had never seen groups of people that fit that kind of you know, physical profile walking around town. Why are they here? And they started finding out who they were. Why did they move? Who brought them here? So there was a lot of that really going, and it's understandable. We had to spend a lot of our time trying to explain how the refugee program worked. The fact that once people come into this country, they're free to move around regardless of what program they came in here. They were legally here. They're not undocumented immigrants, like all of the discussion here going on nationally. People, you know, sneak over the border and come here and live here, and their kids go to school. They're not undocumented. They've got their papers, but they still didn't understand the program. So we spent a lot of time talking about the program, how it works, how it gets funded, and obviously some of the needs that they had when they arrived here. And I would dare say that a lot of that has changed over the course of the last 11 or 12 years. And we can talk a little bit about that too. Yes.
One second. How long do you think it was before the people of Lewiston fully accepted or started to fully accept the Somali refugees?
I would never go as far to say that all of the people in Lewiston have fully accepted anything. Everyone's always going to have an opinion about someone. And if it isn't going to be about Somalis, it's going to be about some other group of people. It'll be low-income people. It'll be gays. It'll be Hispanics. It'll be African American. It'll be Chinese. It'll be Thai. It'll be Japanese. There's always somebody that's got a problem with somebody else. I will say this though: the kinds of phone calls that I was getting, you know, the stuff that I talked to you about, you know, who authorized this, who are they, why are they here, why did they move? I very rarely even hear that anymore. And I think that is because we have worked very hard in doing things that we're doing, just like this. Going around the state, going around the country, talking to anybody that wants to talk to us about this. And we've worked very hard to educate ourselves about this. So I can speak from a place of being, you know, much more informed, having done research on this, having been published on this, having spoken on this. I've worked hard to do a better job of understanding who they are and what it is that we've done over the course of these many years of working with all these different agencies. This was kind of a city hall-driven issue in the early going. It became a community issue, and I've written about this. In my opinion, I don't want to say the best thing, the most important thing that happened to our community to move from a city hall kind of thing to a community thing was the letter. To me, that was the single most important thing that could have happened to our community. Mayor Raymond didn't understand it that way. He never saw it that way. He did a thing that he thought he needed to do. It turned into something much bigger. The reason I'm saying that is I went to Minneapolis in 2003. I met with the staff at Roosevelt High School in 2003 about the Somali population there. So Minneapolis has the largest Somali population in the country. So I went there. They've been working with them for a long time. And what I learned, and what they shared with me at Roosevelt was, in 2001, on September 10th, 2001, a Somali kid stabbed a non-Somali kid. All heck broke loose in that school as a result of that event. What happened the next day? September 11th, 2001. So within 2 days, two life-changing events happened. One that was very local, very, very, very personal to them, and the next, which involved what? Who made up the the terrorist group.
People.
Muslim sympathizers, extremists, terrorists. So that school was then subjected to those 2 days and the ensuing results of those 2 days. And they said in 2003 that stabbing was probably the most important thing that could have happened to that school to get them to the place that they were in 2003, which was extraordinary. It was a fundamental change within the student population with the way they worked with their students, the students worked with staff, and students were working with each other. We didn't have to suffer anything that extraordinary to get people to talk to one another, to look at what was going on differently, and to be a community about it. Somebody wrote a letter. Somebody had some issues. Some people had issues with the letter, and keep in mind, some people didn't have an issue with the letter. But that got people talking. And for me, I think that's what helped move the community forward, because the rally of January 11th, 2003, and all of the work that's been done since, by the way, Lewiston became an All-American city in 2007, a lot because of the work that we did around being a community in 2007. We were the first main community in 40 years to be selected by the National Civic League as an All-America city. The last community to be selected as an All-America city in Maine 40 years ago, or at that point 40 years ago, was Auburn, Maine. So, it was interesting.
Thank you for answering the
Yes.
question. What was the community's initial response to the Somali migration to the state?
What was?
What was the community's initial response to the Somali migration?
Well, again, I think what, we responded in a way that was visceral and emotional, because we didn't understand. I think that's a typical human reaction. And we moved from that to a larger group of people trying to commit themselves to learn more about who it was that, had moved into the community. And understand, it's important to say this. This issue is not all about Somalis. Over 20 languages are now spoken in the Lewiston public school system. This is no longer a Somali-only issue. This is Congolese, Nigerians, Liberians, Ethiopians, Eritreans, Sudanese, Ethiopian, the Japanese, Thai, Chinese, all kinds of groups that now live in the community. So it isn't just a Somali issue, but I will at least, it has to be acknowledged that the ethnic Somali is the largest group. Somali Bantu is also a part of that group as well. Somewhere in the vicinity of maybe 800 to 1,000 Somali Bantu as well. So, yes.
What was the big rally where the neo-Nazis came and the rally was like called?
The January 11th.
What was that
Many
like?
in One rally.
Yeah.
What was it like?
Yeah.
It was a little unnerving. We'll roll back tape a little bit. Mayor Raymond writes his letter. I was sharing this with that was a little while ago. A week later, the Somali community and the mayor got together, and they wrote a joint letter together, basically saying we need to put this behind us. At the end of 1 week, this issue was effectively over as a media issue. The story had gone quiet after that letter was published. Media didn't have any more interest in it. When there's no confrontation, media is not interested in talking about it. What started the issue, what brought the issue back, was the World Church of the Creator, Matt Hale, wanting to come to Lewis and do a little recruiting job. When that information got out publicly in November, we shared with a group of concerned residents that we thought we needed to do something. We worked to help pull together this many in one group that then organized this rally for January 11th. And we worked with law enforcement and a whole bunch of people to try to isolate that group so that they would be in a place where they wouldn't hurt anyone, that we could control the event, so that we could create an opportunity for them to meet, which was their constitutional right to meet. A lot of people put pressure on us not to allow them to be able to meet. That would have been the wrong thing to do. Because not only would that have been a violation of their constitutional rights, it would have created a bigger platform for them to raise even more of an issue and bring even more people to the community because they weren't being given their right to speak. And you know what they wanted more than anything else when they came to Lewiston? I shared this with the group. You know what they wanted more than anything else? They wanted confrontation. They were hoping that we would create an event where one of them would get hurt, many of them would get hurt, be put in the hospital, be sent to jail. They wanted that to happen. Why?
So the media would come in more.
Exactly. They want it because it's gonna give them more attention. It'll give them more face time in the media. That was their MO. That's how they operated. They wanted you to know well in advance that they were coming. Oh, they put out a press release. That's how it came out. They announced to the press that they were coming early so that they could create a lot of anxiety in the community about it and maybe get a confrontation out of it. And our law enforcement people got together, we studied who they were, we understood who they were. Oh, by the way, Matt Hale, the leader of that group, before he could get to Lewiston, he was arrested in Chicago for threatening to kill a federal judge. Nice guy, huh? That made it even more interesting. We had this guy who wanted to come to Lewiston, been arrested in Chicago. It was all set up. They were setting themselves up for a major brawl. We didn't give it to them. 4,000 people show up, one arrest, no confrontation. We get to celebrate it as a community event that brought the community and the state together, as opposed to having a whole bunch of media filming a bunch of people duking it out, possibly going to jail and into the hospital. We changed the dynamics of the event because we understood who it was that we were dealing with, and we did an extraordinary job. That work that we did with law enforcement was actually developed as a case study. It's actually been studied by law enforcement agencies around the country. Yes.
Now, now, pretty sure I know who that one arrest was.
I don't know who the one arrest was. I have no idea who it was.
I meant to say what side the one
You know what
arrest
we found
was.
out when Officer Johnson was here? It was not someone with the World Church, and it was not someone with the One Coalition. It was an anarchist, someone separate from who was just trying to cause trouble.
Yeah, by the way, that's a great point, because these events don't bring just the people who have a direct interest. It brings in anyone else who has any kind of interest into these events. So that's a very good reason.
I think I might know why the anarchist actually came.
Right.
Well, anarchist actually explains what they do. They just cause anarchy whenever they can, and pretty much when there's a group with the Somalis and against the Somalis, that's just one big recipe for anarchy, just big fights and stuff
It's
like
a
that.
powder keg.
Yeah, probably an anti-government time. Didn't like the fact that we were even present.
The powder keg.
Just let people speak, and anything that's an anti-government opportunity. You're right.
Yeah, pretty much this is what he did. He thought of what he would do, went to do it, it didn't work, so he got arrested.
One person, but, so we were very pleased there was only one person who decided that. Yes.
How is it that you work with the
I think the story speaks for itself. The fact that you don't see this in the news every day anymore. The fact that we have lots and lots, that All-American, I'll go back to the All-American City Award. You have many groups, nonprofits, civic groups, just interested people in terms of what's going on. This isn't a city hall issue anymore, it's a community issue. We're all working together on it, and it's feeling a little bit more normal now. We're 12 years into this. The newness of the thing has kind of worn off, and it's just part of the normal kind of day-to-day activity. It doesn't mean that this is a cakewalk. This doesn't mean that everybody loves everybody. Like I said, somebody's always going to have a problem with someone. But it certainly doesn't feel anything like it felt in 2001 and 2002.
Were you working for the city when the Know Nothings burned down the Catholic Church?
No, that was 1855. Do I look that old?
Jared, I think
Do I
that was
really
being
look that
told.
old?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to know. But the point is that change is hard. So when Catholics came to Lewiston, during that time, many of them French, Canadian, many of them Irish. The welcome that the Catholics get is they burn down our first Catholic church. Nice, huh? But change is hard. Changes happen. French Canadians are here. They're not burning down our churches anymore. So I guess we got that behind us now. So that's a good
We could
thing.
take one more question.
One more? Okay, yes.
How did you feel when the Somalis came to Lewiston?
How I felt personally, I believed that I knew that this was going to be a pretty significant change for the community. But at the same time, the way I felt about it was This was an opportunity for the city to, embrace something that would bring something exciting to the community. It would be different. And like I said, sometimes different can result in burning down your church. But I think we've all seen that, the introduction of the Irish and the French Canadians to the community created any number of new opportunities for the city, new culture, new foods, new music, and that's exactly what's happening with the Somalis and all the other groups that are coming to the city. New opportunity, new culture, new music, new art, all kinds of new and exciting things that we would not, under any other circumstance, experience unless we went out of state somewhere. So, that's all.